Hey guys, Harold Osmer, West Hills Wood, beginner woodworking series. We talk about all the things that nobody ever explains to you. So we're going to do that today with the three basic, let's call them large saw options that you have for the beginner woodworker. We'll start off with a bandsaw, we'll go to the table saw, and we'll talk a little bit about the chop saw. We'll get to them, all three of them. Here we go. Bandsaw. Why is it called a bandsaw? Well, because the blade is a band. Look at this. This is a blade for the bandsaw. It's an actual loop, okay? That's pretty straightforward how that works. Look, I've loosened up the cover on this to show you your basic bandsaw operation here. There's a motor down below, rotates the wheel, and the wheel turns the blade, and the blade pulls in a downward direction only. It doesn't go up and down or anything, it only pulls down. So your material gets pulled down against the plate. Now when you use a bandsaw, it's pretty handy because you can adjust to make this thing pretty deep. You know, you want to keep it pretty close to that. And we can get into the details on that later, but the idea is to show right now that the blade just comes down, and you can change the blade different thickness. You can also do nice curves and things like that with a bandsaw. Alright, the next obvious kind of saw we have is a table saw. The difference between a table saw and a bandsaw, pretty huge really. You're not going to cut curves with a table saw, but what you can do is you can repeatedly make parallel cuts. So your board from one side to the other will be parallel. It's very important in woodworking, as you know. You have a blade. There's a control under here. You can crank the blade up and down depending on how deep a cut you want to make. Also, you have fence. You put it up against here for nice rip cuts, and lock it down, and you've got measurements over here and that sort of thing. It works out pretty straightforward. The motor is underneath, and the cabinet is usually pretty heavy, so it gives you a nice stable base. There's also portable ones and things that you can get, and they're not quite as solid and robust as a larger table like this. For the beginner guy though, you can get yourself a nice portable one. Home Depot, Lowe's, they got those sort of things. Alright, the other thing you can do with this is you can get these different kind of miter things here that you can loosen these guys up, and you can make repeatable cuts at different angles, bevels, whatever else you think you need to do. And that's just how that works. You just push it straight across. If you're doing a lot of work, you can also create your own sled, which is pretty straightforward. Make a little groove here, and you can make whatever cuts you need to make from there. Alright, you have to be careful with the table saw, bandsaw, and the chop saw, because these things are machines and they will not care if you get your finger in the way. And also be sure to wear hearing protection, dust protection, eyes. Protect your eyes, man. Hardly a week goes by where I don't hear click click in the middle of some operation. What that means is stuff is flying up and hitting the glass, which makes me pretty happy that I'm actually wearing those things. Chop saw setup over here. Again, we did another video about this earlier, shows a little bit more about how this works. You can rotate this way, the chop saw goes this way as well, the bevel. I keep a clamp in my boards over here, real close by, so I can do repeatable cuts. If I want to make a cut, then I take the piece out and I make another one, make another cut, and there we go. So there you are, the three basic large power tools that you might want to get in your shop. Miter saw, also known as a chop saw, table saw, which is just indispensable in a big shop, and a bandsaw. There you go. Three basic saws for your beginner woodworking shop. Harold Osmer, West Hills Wood.